Good morning, folks. This is Deb. I normally have today off, but I am working, but I want to spend a few minutes talking to you about reality. So we've been on a pretty wild ride since the Democratic convention. I have to say, one of the best I've ever seen. I've been watching conventions for a long time. I haven't watched them recently, but I went back to watching this one for a reason. And it was amazing. And you know what? I think the approach Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are taking about being positive moving forward, I think that's absolutely the absolute right way to go. We've been waiting for a long time for, in my opinion, a ticket like this to come along. Okay. And, people say that Kamala Harris is like the female Obama, but you know what? She's actually not. She's in a very different place in history than Barack Obama was. And she is much more than just the female Obama. Okay. And there's a great article out there, quite frankly. And I'm going to put this in the body of the video for you to read. But be that as it may, with all the happiness and the joy as we move forward, I think that is absolutely the right way to go. But we need to be grounded in reality here, because I've seen some pie in the sky things out there as we headed towards the convention, knowing that some Republicans would be there speaking out against Donald Trump. And what I'd like you to understand is that is exactly what they were there for, to speak out against Donald Trump, to speak out against treason, to make people understand that it's not okay to support a guy like that, regardless of his policies. But we are not there because the Republicans are joining the Democratic Party in supporting Democratic Party policies and ideals. That is absolutely not the case. I have seen stuff like, I wish she picked Liz Cheney as her running mate. Oh, please? No. Okay. And the same with Adam Kinzinger, the same kind of emotion. You can have that same kind of emotion. Okay. And you can, because they agree with us on Trump and because they also support the Ukraine. Okay. And that's a common bond right there. But I'd like to remind everybody that pre-insurrection, before the insurrection, Liz Cheney voted 93% of the time in league with Donald Trump's policies. She is a Republican. She is not a Democrat. Okay. Adam Kinzinger, likewise. And honestly, Adam Kinzinger has missed a lot of votes, things he didn't want to deal with, things that he didn't agree with. And I'm going to put their records in here so you can take a look at it. But things that they voted against are basic values for the Democratic Party. They both voted against capping insulin at $35. They both voted against the Voting Rights Act. They both voted against the Inflation Reduction Act. They both voted against the assault weapons ban. Okay. There are other things. Liz Cheney voted against the Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Prevention Act of 2022. She voted against the John Lewis Act. She voted against the Equality Act. So understand that these people are not at the Democratic Party convention because they're suddenly our allies on the legislative front. They are not. Okay. We are in a situation where, yes, the Republican Party will eventually rebuild itself. But even when they weren't the party of Donald Trump, we had significant policy differences between us, and we will always have those policy differences. And this is why I keep pushing this notion that we need a constitutional amendment that protects everybody's rights. Because right now, you know what? Regardless of what anybody thinks, our inalienable rights are under assault by one side of the coin. And until we get past that, until we get past the culture war portion of the program, we can't argue about policy because we're spending all of our time protecting people's civil rights in this country, things that should be given under the Constitution, not stuff that belongs on a ballot or in the Supreme Court, but things that are actually guaranteed us in the Constitution. So let's remember this moving forward. Even if that party rebuilds itself, we are always going to be at odds on many things. Here's another thing I want to caution people against here. Kamala Harris's meteoric rise is real. I truly believe that. I truly believe she offers a better way forward for even people who are Republicans. But we cannot become complacent and just assume that the orange jackaloon is going to collapse between now and November. What the orange jackaloon is actually going to do is make this ugly, because he is an ugly human being. Okay? He has no record to run on. He hasn't done one thing for the average American on either side of the aisle. So he has nothing to point to. So he will resort to insulting and demeaning Kamala Harris. He will nitpick and insult and demean Tim Walz, as will J.D. Vance. When you have ugly on the other side of the aisle, you get ugly when you run for office. He has no record to defend. He has no policies that he is putting forward that anyone will jump up and down over. And he is right now running scared and is a caged animal. And he is an animal, okay? Let's make no mistake about that. So as I leave you here this morning, I'm not trying to be a downer here. I'm trying to be realistic. I used to be one of those rose-colored glasses people when I was young, but I outgrew that. And the longer I lived on this planet, the harder it got for me to look at the world through those glasses. So what I want to say is we're going to be positive as we kick their ass, but we need to kick their ass. I'll talk to you all later.